work with.
It's a real sky.
It's a real sky. That was pretty much the only thing that was for real. And then it was mostly through the work of Brandon Davis and Ben Grossman, the compositor on this, that it was put together and looked so real in the end. And for this explosion, we went quite extreme. This was actually only, what was it, TV resolution, and we blew it up several 100% and used it as background.
And this is the final result. Just to go back fast to see also how extreme the scene was shot. There's even little things. Let's go back to this, where the pilot sits in the helicopter. Was really just shot in.
So it was the hotel lobby.
Here we go. It was really shot in the hotel lobby. The strut of the helicopter there on the left is actually added later. It's computer animated. There's a little windshield reflection. It's barely visible, but you can see it on the big screen.
So it's just a piece of plywood behind him with some details glued on top of it, and some blinking lights on his face. The sequence where Claire comes back to her hotel room and finds out that her hotel room is not existing anymore was several different elements. It was, of course, a miniature of the destroyed hotel, and even the hallway behind her was only a photograph of a real hallway in a Mexican hotel, and Kristen and Clayton and David Waterman behind her were shot in front of blue screen in the Churubusco studios in Mexico City. And then we added this whole background here, and Mark actually shot some background photos in Hollywood of the buildings on the left and the right side, and the midground, and the village in the way background is a small town called Guanajuato in Mexico. And then we took all these elements and added them together, turned them into one shot.
Let me go back to this here. Here, actually, you can see the elements pretty well. In the bottom right corner, for instance, you have fire elements again, which are real fires that are just downsized and scaled down. On the top right, you see the miniature that we shot. And on the bottom left, you see all computer-generated smoke elements, little pieces that are flying that Brandon created virtually in, 20 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, we were quite interactive with these sequences.
Here's a 2.5D fly around again that shows you a little bit of the different layers. So you have the background, which actually is made of several different layers, and then the midgrounds and foreground.
For the fire trucks, we also used a technique that was already used on movies like Citizen Kane in the 30s, where you replicate something that is only existing once, and you shoot it, in this case, 3 times. So we actually only had one fire truck. We put it in different positions and shot it again and again. And then in digital compositing, cut those fire trucks out and pasted them together, which gives this image that you see here.
We even went that far. We only had, I think, 4 or 5 of those soldiers that are running there towards the hotel, and even those were actually replicated. So you basically see the same guys about 3-4 times in here.
And it's the same technique here. There's actually 3 fire trucks. One is hidden behind the other one at the moment. And the Grand Hotel sign was also computer generated. This was actually a theater marquee underneath the Grand Hotel sign.
So yeah, we painted out the marquee and then put the computer generated sign up on top.
For the Switzerland sequence, we did a couple of different things, and for this shot here, we used a post office in Mexico City and turned it into a Switzerland post office by using sign replacements. And those signs were actually some photos taken in Switzerland. And for this shot, we added some helicopters that were also computer generated. And here we shot actually on location in an old villa in Mexico, and then had to put in the background behind the ambassador, which again was a piece of Guanajuato, a little Mexican village.
This is, by the way, one example of literally hundreds of shots that are like this, that we just shot in front of blue screen and later put in the background. Actually, the next shot here is a good example of that too, where usually I think the audience wouldn't even suspect that there's something wrong with the shot because it's just a few people standing in front of a hill. But for us, also being the producers in this, it made a huge difference money-wise, because it cost a lot of time, effort and money in the end, of course, to move an entire first unit crew from one location to the next. And if you just shoot in front of a grassy hill, it's really not necessary. So we decided to shoot these elements here, the two guys talking, just in front of blue screen, and then add the hill later as a digital still photograph.
And this was taken, the photograph was taken while we were on that location anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, here's Switzerland, a little composite that I did already before we actually started shooting, because we needed to have the same image on the poster too. And when our second unit crew was shooting in Switzerland, we unfortunately didn't have good luck with the weather, so it really looked like this. And since we wanted to have this postcard country look of Switzerland with beautiful mountains, and which we knew up front that Zurich actually doesn't have any mountains, so we just said, well, we're gonna put some mountains in, and this is what we did. So what you're seeing here is actually a photo of Mount McKinley in Alaska that is now tracked onto the picture. Here it is again.
And even on very short shots like this one here, where you see the dictator fleeing from the rooftop in his helicopter, we pretty much had nothing to work with. We shot in the prison square, our outside studio location, again, and had to invent everything that you see besides the little concrete square that you see here.
It's kind of funny if you look at it, there's even a director's chair still in the picture, but all the stuff gets erased afterwards anyway and replaced by something else. In this case, the helicopter and the city behind it.
This is one of my my personal favorites here, where we are in the middle of the chase on the mountain roads, and we are supposed to see that it is mountain roads, but you don't see anything of the mountains, you don't see anything of the gorge on the right side, because we have this hill obliterating it. And so we had to do a digital matte painting and turn the original shot into something else that looks way more dangerous, which looks like this. And we also added a camera move that makes it a little more shaky and more dynamic, and even have some computer animated stones fly over the edge when the truck goes by.